Okay, so I'm gonna ask my question after I respond to that. This bullshit that he's saying about polygamy. Polygamy is something that is always kind of existed, but it's low key. But monogamy in America has existed forever. So the downfall of the West is not polygamy. The downfall of the West is monogamy, the prostitution, and all the whole shit that y'all do. Y'all, when you say polygamy won't save the West, show me how. I'm almost. I don't. This is a hypothetical.
I will show you how.
This is not a question.
Yeah.
Monogamy never did anything because America didn't rule the West by monogamy.
Yes, it did.
America ruled the West by force because America still rules the West. Last I checked, America is still the number one superpower unless you ask Israel.
The West is dying. The West is dying. The West can't even.
I didn't interrupt you the whole time you fucking talked. I let you talk.
Okay. Well, you said that. Okay, fine. But I get a response after this then. I get a response after this.
Yeah, you get a response. Go ahead, Cap. It's yours. Go ahead.
I always got to cuss before I get my moderator Cooley to step in. So again, America is still a number one power, even though morally they're fucked up. So you can't blame that on polygamy because when monogamy existed, they was raping their wives. That's why it was unlawful, raping their wives. That's why it only became in law in 1993. That's why when you go to post or pre-industrialism, you know why they was having more kids? Because they was raping the wives, having sex with them, producing the kids, got the woman in the house, and then they let that white broad out. And that white broad said, I ain't never coming. I ain't never coming back. I ain't having no more of your kids. I ain't doing none of that. So we can't act like monogamy or polygamy makes the West good or bad because the West is still great.
Yes.
Now my question.
No. I get a response. I get a response.
He gets a respond.
That's what we agreed to.
He gets a response.
Hang on, you just agreed. Yeah, I get a response. I get a response.
No.
Yeah. So here's a response.
No.
It's really simple, right? Yeah, I get a yeah, and we'll get to your question after my response.
Real quick, both of y'all. Real quick. I'm just mute both of y'all real quick. Listen, Cap, we literally just walked it through, like one A to Z. A to Z walked it through. You gave your little rebuttal, and now Andrew gets a response. This is why Andrew yielded. You get what I'm saying? So just let him get his response, and then you can ask a question. I don't think Andrew Wilson is asking a question. He's just going to respond to all the things that you said. So go ahead.
Wait. Hold before Andrew goes. This back and forth while I've been trying to ask this one question has gone on 4 times now.
That's because you won't stop responding.
Every time he responds, and then I respond, and I say I want to ask a question afterwards. He says he got to respond. Can I ask the? Wait, listen.
No, that's not what happened. You're lying about the course of events.
I
said I'll respond. I said I'll respond, and
I got you real quick, Andrew. Listen, this is real simple, Cap. Once Andrew responds, instead of you responding to Andrew, ask your question. Just ask the question and you'll be good. So is Andrew time to respond? After Andrew is finished, ask your question, Cap.
So before he goes, if the criteria is I can't respond to what he says, I just have to ask my question, that has to be the same across the board. He can't respond to nothing I say. He got to ask his question. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, I don't have a question. So yeah, this is everything he just said was a lie. When he's talking about coverture laws, with the by the way, major feminist talking point, major black eye on the Hebrew Israelites on this one. Okay, you did go to jail for battering and abusing your wife. In fact, you weren't even allowed to step out. You weren't allowed to leave your wife. You weren't even allowed to do that because the state would enforce. The state would come in and be like, "Nah, man." They look up coverture laws. Any of you watching this, you can look them up for yourself, right? Men had an obligation. Women couldn't even go into debt. And by the way, just a few short years ago, we're talking only 60, 70 years ago, you're looking at, as far as monogamy goes, most men were marrying virgin women. They were marrying virgins on their wedding night. No, not kidding, right? The monogamy, as I showed you all of the various data, right? It's the most stable thing you can do for the American family. We've strayed away from that, and that's what's caused tons and tons of the problems with degeneracy. In fact, this guy's worldview is so degenerate, right? He's just saying, hey, if you bang a chick, you're married to her. Great. Well, how do you enforce that? We don't. We're just going to talk at them. Hey, did you know you're married? No, I'm not. The woman says, no, I'm not. That's the end of that. There's no enforcement mechanism whatsoever. He doesn't want the state to do anything. He doesn't want any movement in society towards anything new. How are you going to save the West when you just want the status quo? It's the same West. He wants the same West tomorrow that we have today, where everybody can do whatever they want, right? And you can, in their mind, they'll just say, hey, we're married as long as we have sex with a chick. We're married to him. You have sex with a chick, you're married to her. Those people say, no, we're not. You're out of your fucking mind. Go about their business. And that's business as usual. There's no enforcement of any of this. No legislative. They have no legislative plan for anything. They have no plan for anything. It's just more of the same. He's literally offering you more of the same. And when I ask him, how's that going to save the West? He doesn't know. He has no idea. He gave you nothing. He just said monogamy somehow was the better status quo than most men marrying virgins on their wedding night just, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Like, how's this even rational? None of this is even rational. And so, no, clearly monogamy is not going to save the West. They got no plan at all for anything. Nothing. It's just status quo.
Why? Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Why
good.
do white people enjoy to force people to do things so much?
Well, wait a second. Everybody enjoys enforcing their worldview on everybody. That includes Asians, Black people, Hispanics, whites, any race that you can point to has the state as a use of force. The state always has the use of
I'm
force.
asking, why do white people? Can you just answer my question?
It's not true. I reject it. I reject it as a loaded question.
Why? Well, when you say a loaded question,
it presupposes the answer.
You just talked to me about force so much that I agreed to answer your hypothetical question about force. Yeah. You said defense was force. You said, don't I have to force my view? I said I wouldn't go to the government. You create a hypothetical. If I do go to the government, wouldn't it be force? And now when I ask you, why do white people enjoy to force people to do things so much? You say I'm being dishonest, and I'm not. I want to know, because
this is a presupposition. Yeah, I'll answer.
The past 25 to 30 minutes,
I'll answer.
You have talked to me that we got to force. Even in your soliloquy that you just did, you said I'm not going to force nobody to do anything, but you want to force. So why do white people enjoy forcing people to do things?
Yeah, so I'll answer the question.
And real quick, Andrew, right before you answer that, we're going to do 15 more minutes of open format discussions. And then right after the 15 minutes is up, we're going to go ahead and bring some people up to ask some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's make this really easy. The reason that this is a loaded question is because it assumes that only why do Black people enjoy murdering each other so much? You see how that's a loaded question? Not only that, let's point this out and we'll make this really simple. The objective reality of the world is that all states and all systems come down to use of force. And I don't care what system you have, it's going to come down to a use of force of men. It's always the case in every system you can point to in all historic standards everywhere on planet Earth at all times, without exception. The world objectively runs on force and enforcement. And the truth is if you're unwilling to utilize your worldview with enforcement, your worldview is worthless, because people can just ignore you, walk about, do whatever they want. And all you can do is shake your finger at them and say, you shouldn't have done that. That's why. You know why? Because it works. Here's why white people like to do it so much. Because it works and it's sane. There you go. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, because it works and it's sane.
Now, is that in the Bible to do it by force?
Yes. The Bible points kings. Yes. Divine kings, the right of kings.
Show me where you have to enforce it by force.
Yeah, the state itself, including a monarchy, necessarily entails that you have to have force for any edict of the nation or the kingdom. There always will be a force.
How are you going to enforce your monogamy in the West?
This is great. You know what I would do? The same thing that we used to do, which is I would take over, try to at least win every possible election to put people with my worldview in charge so that I would legislate that polygamy be outlawed. I would legislate that if you were going to do divorce, that would be governed by the church and not governed by the state. I would actually have enforcement arms and teeth behind what it was that I wanted to do, because, I actually want to save the West. I don't want the status quo, right? You won't even petition the government to get rid of OnlyFans. That's how weak your position is. You won't even, because somehow that's going to benefit white people too much or something. That's like such a terrible position, dude.
And what are you doing to actually enforce it?
Well, so here's what you do. You started.
What are you doing?
Yeah. So what I do is I start at a cooperative level. So what I start with is this. We need to move into local jurisdictions and begin the process of taking over the arms of legislation to legislate your worldview.
So you're doing that now?
Yes.
Can you give examples of that?
Of me? Yes. Yes. I talk with people. I talk with people all over the United States. It's just a guy named Rob Nora goes to multiple Republican conventions in order to place people in seats so that they can legislate. Yes.
And how successful are you?
I mean, Christian nationalism, I would say, is the most successful counterculture political apparatus which maybe has ever existed in our lifetime. So I think it's pretty fucking successful. Yeah, I think it's pretty successful.
So in your worldview, polygamy would be illegal, right?
Yeah.
But isn't polygamy already illegal?
Polygyny. No, it's not.
Polygyny is not illegal?
No. Only at the state level.
But but when you say at the state level, you made a point to say, but wouldn't you have to get rid of marriage too?
From the state? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you doing that too?
Yes.
Damn. So how successful are you? What cities you got that are doing it? How long have you been doing it?
I mean, well, right now, Christian nationalism is in its form of ceding power. This means that right now they're moving towards gaining control in legislative branches.
How long have you been doing it?
For a few years.
Let's say 4 or 5?
Maybe 3.
Any headway?
Yeah, there's been headway. Yes.
Like where? Well, give me the county or something.
I just told you, man. You can go to the Pennsylvania Republican Convention, which Rob Nor just went to. He works for me.
And it's law now in Pennsylvania that
no, of course it's not law. I just told you. You have to start with the ceding of power first.
Why aren't you forcing them?
Bro, we're not talking about the utilization of forcing government, but taking over government to use force. We're talking about taking over government to use force.
You're not a real white man because you're not forcing your will. But I got a force.
No, I think you just have a fundamental misunderstanding of how power apparatuses work.
Forcing?
Listen, what did I just tell you? Can you even repeat back what I just said? I don't know what this is. Pure cope laugh now.
Talk to some constituents here in Pennsylvania and this, but you ain't forced nothing. You just talking.
So
essentially,
wait, don't you want to get people seated so that you can affect political change?
Same way that you said, I'm just talking.
No, you are just talking.
Same thing you're doing.
Who are you seating for power?
Show me you doing anything more than just talk.
I'll explain it to you. I have a methodology, and thousands like me have a methodology where we're trying to push people in positions of power who agree with our worldview for the purpose of enforcement. You're doing the opposite. You're claiming you don't want anybody in a position of power with your worldview.
Besides talking,
do you understand that you're utilizing the apparatus for enforcement?
Show me where you forced anything,
bro. If you have enough elected bodies, you then can utilize the force of the state.
Right? You didn't force them, right? You talked to them, right?
You're not. That's not the correct position. What you're saying here is you refuse to cede the state power.
You say all I'm
you're
doing
refusing to go to the state. You're refusing it. Do you understand the difference?
You ain't forcing nothing. You a fake
bro. Do you understand that you're? Yeah. Do you understand that you are refusing to engage at the state level for enforcement, and we're not? That's the distinction.
You are, and you're not forcing nothing. You're going there to talk.
So
even the gays,
for what purpose?
The DSM, when they wanted to change that DSM, They did that by force. The gays better
They
than
didn't
you.
force anybody to do anything. How do they do it by force?
Better than
Let's
you.
try this. Say, Cap, can you still man his position real quick, just so we all
Why
understand?
you interfere? Come on, Cooley. Come on, man.
No,
Can
no.
you
I mean,
can you still man it?
Just still man it. It's not an interference. It's because we want to create
what
some
is still
decorum,
man?
and it's the
What-
back
what
and forth. So
is-
in order to get rid of the back and forth, if you just still man his position,
How you
I
spell
think that'll help.
Steel, man. You saying steel?
Steal.
STEE or
L.
STEA?
Yeah, STEEL.
STEEL. Steel, man. I don't know what that means.
Just
It
summarize his
But
position.
Yeah, it just means
Summarize
repeat.
attacking a
Yeah,
weaker
repeat it. Yeah.
version. I'm not attacking nothing weaker. I'm the one that asked the question.
No, that's a straw man.
No. The steel man means
Yeah, steel man.
persuasive technique where instead of attacking a weaker version of an opponent's argument, one constructs the strongest possible interpretation of that
it.
argument.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what this man said was that all I'm doing is talking. I'm not forcing anything, as
No.
if he was. And he's not forcing anything. He's talking just like me.
No.
He's
So
taking his position.
that's not
of
the most
monogamy, his position of marriage, his position, and he's going to talk to constituents. I'm taking my position of marriage, my position of sex, and I'm going to talk to my people. We're doing the exact same thing. Neither one of us is doing it by force. But he made it seem like my teaching is a bad thing, but him talking is a good thing.
That was actually a straw man, not a steel man. But
Well, y'all gotta make up your mind.
I'll give you the steel man, the most charitable version of your position I can possibly think of. You think that Andrew Wilson's doing the exact same thing that you're doing. I'm just talking to people, right, in order to convince them of my worldview, that we're doing the exact same thing, that we're both. But here's the problem. So that's a steel man. The problem you had with my steel man is we're not, though. Because when I asked you, would you try to move your ideology to the ruling apparatus, the state apparatus? Multiple times you said no, 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 no. I refuse to do that. We're not doing the same thing. The idea that I can move people into positions, or at least assist with moving people in positions, or in some way help moving people into positions of authority and power in the state in order to implement my worldview via enforcement, is the distinction between the two of us. Not whether or not we both do the things we're doing via us talking, but what the outcome of what it is we're trying to do actually is. I'm trying to present a view which people can get behind to affect real change. You are trying to affect a view of the status quo liberal elite of do as thou wilt, as long as you don't hurt anybody else, because you refuse to utilize government power for the implementation of ideology.
So here's why it's not a steel man or a straw man, but they're addressing him directly. The only difference he and I have is the agenda. His agenda is at the government level. My agenda is at my people level. There is no such thing as do what thou wilt. That's white folks stuff. Like white people say that. That's a white man that came up that term, do what thou wilt. The Bible says, do what God say, thus saith the Lord. So I teach my people, thus saith the Lord. So it's not a straw man or a steel man, because I'm pointing out that I'm not forcing anybody and he's not forcing anybody. His agenda is just different than mine. I don't care. The reason why I took this debate, the title of the debate is not just the West. The title of this debate is can polygyny save the West? Is it a sin? It being a sin means we talk about the Bible. So my lens is a biblical lens. His lens can be the West lens, and that's fine. So even on his lens of the West, he still ain't doing nothing by force. He just talking. In my lens, I'm talking. So now the only thing we can measure success or failure is if he shows where his talking is moving weight in the West, and where I show my talking is moving weight amongst my people.
Yeah,
That's the only thing you could do.
So to give a response to this, he's right in one sense that it's the ideological difference for outcome. Remember what we're debating here. Is polygyny going to save the West? right? He says,
And it's
and
the only
is
part
it
of
a
the
sin?
title. It's
We
two
went
titles.
through, but we went through all the did I interrupt you? We went through all of the biblical stuff there, right? We're also on the topic of can polygyny save the West? And in this particular case, he has not made any case for how it can in any way, shape, or
Yes, I
form.
did. That's
In
a lie.
fact, I didn't interrupt you. In fact,
It's a
what
lie,
he
though.
has done, well, in fact, what he has done is he has said, we, the Hebrew Israelites, are a bunch of status quo people, right? We want the status quo. We want everything to keep going exactly how it is, because for us to petition the government to even do anything as small as regulating off the internet OnlyFans would require them to use force, and so that would be bad. That's what this gentleman said. No, we're not after the same aims. We're not after the same ends. He's a normal, progressive status quo using feminist talking points. Nonsense is what you hear here. Just nonsensical prattle. The reason that he wants to stay inside of the these minute questions, the minutia questions, is because the second we apply this worldview to the actual West, the whole thing falls apart. Inside his worldview, he can't even justify utilizing state force to enforce the things he believes are moral. How fucking insane is that? And so here Andrew Wilson says, no, I think that I do have a moral system called Christianity, which does enforce morality and has all sorts of ecclesiology behind it, so that we can move in government for the enforcement of our will and the enforcement of the things that we want. He says, and his response to this was, well, that might benefit white people too much and hurt minorities too much. By the way, another liberal progressive talking point, another feminist talking point. I'm really surprised. I thought the Hebrew Israelites were supposed to be these awesome savages. It turns out they're a bunch of fucking progressive feminists, and they're too afraid to even use the state apparatus to enforce the things they consider moral. That's crazy. He says, well, wait a second, Andrew. Were kings allowed to do that? Yes, they were, sir. Yes, they were. Yes, divine kings definitely made edicts, and they definitely used force in order to enforce their fucking edicts. Yes, they did. And so, like, the whole worldview just fell apart. He can't save you from shit.
So if you like that clip and you want to watch more, click right here. But if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.